Hello and welcome to Finance Conversation. This is the 30th episode of the Merging Life and Money Show, and I am super excited to be here today. For those of you who do not know me, I am your host, Marie-Jo César. I help professional women bridging the gap between life and money by acquiring and applying the relevant financial skills and knowledge they need to take control of their money, manage their finances, and understand that they can live their best life with the money they have. Thank you for joining in today. If you are watching the replay, make sure to type hashtag replay in the chat and leave me some comments and questions. Before I continue, I must apologize. It would seem that I had a bit of technical difficulty logging in at 5 sharp. So I just hope that my followers and listeners realize that and they can actually log on to my Facebook page, merginglifeandmoney.com, or my Facebook group, Finance Conversations with an S. Okay, so let us continue. Welcome, and welcome. I come to you live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to share valuable information about how to achieve financial wellness and live your life with means and meaning. Today, my guest, Eric Dudley, and I will be covering 4 money tips that will change your life. Eric Dudley, my guest, is an independent, experienced, holistic financial advisor specializing in retirement planning, investing solutions, and life insurance. He is the founder and president of Dudley Financial Group, and one of Dudley Financial Group's main goals is to help their clients build their best tomorrow while protecting them today. Welcome, Eric, to the Merging Life and Money Show, and welcome followers and listeners. Thank you for joining in today. So grab a pen and a notebook, as you might want to take some notes to discuss further with family members, friends, colleagues, etc., because it is about sharing values that could benefit others. So if you have any comments or questions whatsoever, make sure to put them in the chat. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, we will uncover 4 money tips that will serve you well for life. We will talk about budgeting, about debt management, about mortgage refinancing, commonly referred to as refi, and we will also talk about your saving strategy. So let us not forget that the holiday season is upon us, and many of you will be spending money without planning or considering the potential consequences you would face comes January, right? The National Retail Federation anticipates that the average person plans to spend about $1,000 on the holidays this year. So while it may seem significant for some, for others, if you put it on credit cards, store credit, or variation of buy now, pay later payment plans, and you don't pay it all off right away, the interest on that $1,000 could quickly take months, even years to pay off. So Eric, tell me, what tips will you share with the audience about having a spending plan?
Well, hey, MJ, thanks for having me. I think that budgeting is the starting point for every financial plan because you have to understand where your money's going. I think about it like if somebody were to say, go gather some water from the stream. Now, it'd be really good if you had a bowl or had a cup. If you try and hold it in your hand, by the time you get back to where you were, there won't be any water left because all of it will have slipped through your fingers. And the same way with money, okay? you have to have a container for it. You have to have control over it. And if you don't, all your money will slip away. Okay. So having a budget is just, well, it's just reasonable. Every small business has a budget. Every large business has a budget because they want to know where their money goes and they want to be in control of their money and they don't want their money to be in control of them. So the best thing to do is to have a written down budget. Okay. There's a saying that says a dream is still a dream until it's written down. When it is, it becomes a goal. Okay. And so the same thing with a budget. A budget is just a dream until it's written down.
Right.
And you can get terrific budgets anywhere on the internet. You can look on, I looked on Pinterest one time. There must have been 100 different budgets that you could do. Mm-hmm. And that's great. And you can use budgets that you can get as apps, wherever you get it. It doesn't really matter. As long as it becomes a part of your life. It needs to be something that you look after every day. You look after every week and you stick to it. Because if you don't stick to it, of course, having information is not powerful. It's acting upon that information that makes it powerful. So the budgeting is very important. If you don't budget, really, you're never going to know where your money went anyway. So it's going to be hard to have a good financial future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to try and summarize that really quick. So my take on that is, on the surface, it could look as if creating a budget is just a tedious financial exercise, right? Especially if you feel that your finances are already in good order. But as you said, put it in writing, okay? Because you might be surprised at just how valuable a budget can be, right? A good budget can help keep your spending on track and even uncover some hidden cash flow problems that might free up even more money to put towards your own financial goals, right? So now that you explain the importance of having a budget and by that knowing where your money goes instead of finding out where your money went, let's talk about Black Friday and Cyber Week, and more specifically, Cyber Monday. The holidays, as we know, are fast approaching, and Cyber Week is just around the corner. So many online retailers and brick and mortar establishments, such as I would say the Walmart and the Best Buy, have already started to roll out their early deals, right, in preparation for the holiday. And Cyber Week, as we know, is a mega retail event that spends 5 days covering 5 major shopping dates, right? So we got the Thanksgiving Day followed by Black Friday, and then we have the Small Business Saturday, and we have Super Sunday and Cyber Monday. And of these special days, consumer look forward to Black Friday and Cyber Monday the most, right? So what tips can you share with the audience about Black Friday and Cyber Week expenses?
I think it's just like whenever people go out and they want to have fun and they want to party all night, they need to consider the consequences the next day. You know, it's the same way with that. Black Friday sounds great. All those deals sound great. You might be able to, quote unquote, save money by buying then. But just remember, I mean, you're going to have to pay the bills at some point, and those bills might last for a year or more, and you're paying at an interest rate too because of that. And in many cases, not all. But you've got to remember, I mean, you're going to have it in your budget for that long. So if you have a large amount from Black Friday in your budget for most of the year, you might have to cut out other things to keep your budget in right order. So just consider that. Just try to, you know, place the remember the consequences for your actions.
Yeah, and as I say always, okay, you got your bill or your whatever, they give you a receipt. and it says you save X numbers of dollars today, but you have not saved that amount of money until you take it out of your budget, out of your account and put it into a savings account.
Right.
Okay? And a good deal is not always a good deal, particularly if you didn't plan to actually buy that thing. You just happen to walk in and say, "Oh my God, I can't beat that price." Whether or not you need it, you are tempted to go and buy it. So buyer beware, to say the least, right? Just a bit of statistic now. So last year, in 2020, online sales reached 10.8 billion on Cyber Monday. And this was about 15.1% from the year before, making it the biggest US e-commerce day ever. So several sources that track Cyber Monday e-commerce spending predict that Cyber Monday 2021 will break records again. So many people thought that COVID and the economic uncertainty associated with it would cause people to spend less on Cyber Monday 2020. However, holiday shoppers proved all the prediction to be wrong. As Cyber Monday sales made a jump from 9.4 billion in 2019 to 10.8 billion in 2020. So while uncertainty in the form of shipping delays that we are currently experiencing and supply chain issues remain in the picture, they predict that Cyber Monday e-commerce sales will be over 11.8 billion this year. Wow. Okay, so again, for the listeners, the followers, the rewatchers, whoever you are, beware. Okay, a deal appears really sweet and good until January comes around the corner, and $1,000, as you mentioned, Eric, turns into a year-long sentence. Okay, plus interest. Mm-hmm. Right. So now that we talked about budgeting, let us look at because along with that, because clearly they would have used a credit card, along with that comes the debt. Okay, so let us talk about debt and debt management, right? So many people face financial crisis at some point in their life, okay? Whether the crisis is caused by personal or family illness, the loss of a job, overspending, right? It can seem overwhelming, but often it can be overcome. So your financial situation does not have to go from bad to worse. So Eric, I have 4 questions for you. Okay, I'm going to start with the first one. What can you share with the audience regarding debt and how to control it?
I think it mainly comes from discipline. You need to have a budget that tells you how much you're allowed to spend every month and every year and every decade, and you need to stick to it, because no matter what, if you don't stick to the plan and you are spending more than you're able to make in income, then you'll wind up with more debt. And so it really does come down to discipline, and every little bit counts. So if you can save money in one area of your budget so that you can spend more in another, that's great. That doesn't hurt. But as soon as you allow yourself to overspend in one area and don't make it up, that becomes debt.
Okay, so talking debt, a lot of it could lead to what they call debt consolidation. So what is debt consolidation and how to consolidate your debt?
Well, you can consolidate your debt through loans. You can do a home equity loan. You can do a bank loan. You can do credit cards that offer special rates to where that they will say you don't pay any interest for a 12-month plan, and then it'll return back to the other the old rate after 12 months. And all of those they're fine. But of course, you just have to do the numbers. You have to make sure that after that promotional period is over, are you going to have your debt paid off? And if it's not, will you be able to pay it off at the new higher interest rate? Debt consolidation can be helpful at times, but you really need to think about it and consider all of the numbers before you act.
Okay, so my third question on debt is, okay, so while consolidation is one of the many options for managing debt, right? Particularly when you owe too much to your creditors, can you tell me when does debt consolidation make sense? Because you did say that it could be done in various ways, right? So when does it make sense?
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of high interest rate credit cards, for instance, and you're able to get a different credit card to be able to consolidate all of them at a much lower rate, yeah, sure. I think that's a really good plan. If you're able to do a home equity loan, for instance, at a much lower rate than what you're paying, really it comes down to interest rates mostly. And then, of course, trying and having a goal to pay it off in a certain amount of time is really what you want to do, because the longer that you have to pay for the interest, of course, it's compounding all the time. Compounding interest is extremely powerful. Albert Einstein said compounding interest was the most powerful force in the universe. So if you consider that whenever you're in saving for retirement, for instance, and you put away money every month for a 40-year period, it doesn't even have to be that much money. After 40 years, because of compounding interest, you might have a lot of money to be able to live the rest of your life happily. But in this case, compounding interest is against you. Okay, right. It's like a wave that is crashing on the beach, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's going to wipe you out. So you don't want to have compounding interest go against you. It's just too powerful.
Yeah, and I mean that's as you said, a very powerful tool, right? But all depends what side of it you are on. When you're saving, it's great, right? It's like growing your wealth exponentially. But when it comes to the debt side of it, it's not so, right?
Well, especially when you consider that credit cards a lot of times are at 19%. Wow, that will really compound quickly.
Yeah. So thanks for clarifying debt and its ramification. We're not always aware of this, but it's so important. So our next tip relates to mortgage refinancing. This topic has been the flavor of the year. Okay, this past year, I mean, we've experienced a tremendous cut in the mortgage rate, which make it quite appealing for people to refinance their mortgages. And this also led to extreme prices for properties. So your home is probably your biggest asset, right? And refinancing it might be one way, I would say, you can use your home to leverage that big investment. So let's look at how refinancing your mortgage works, so you know what to expect, right? So I have 5 questions on that one. The first one is, what does it mean to refinance your home?
Well, whenever you refinance, you're going to be having a different lender loan you the money for the house, and they could loan it to you at a different interest rate. Now, it doesn't take much of an interest rate change to have a huge amount of change in how much you have to pay every month. That's why refinancing your house is so attractive. I know that if you were to refinance a house at just 1% less, you might save hundreds of dollars every month because of that. And it's very attractive to people because, of course, that changes your budget. That means you get to spend money in other places. But that being said, there are some drawbacks to refinancing all the time. And this is something that people don't understand. Every time that you refinance your house, you are also starting the loan over. And so whenever you go and you start a 30-year mortgage, the first several years are nothing but interest that you pay. You pay there's no principal paid. So you're not actually paying down your house. All you're doing is paying interest. Until after about 4 or 5 years, do you start actually paying principal on the house. And of course, the more years you're in it, the more of your payment is actually principal and less interest. So if you're refinancing every 4 or 5 years, you're never actually paying any principal on your house. All you're ever paying is interest. And let me tell you, the banks love you. They think you are great.
Yeah,
and,
of course. Of course. So why would one want to refinance their mortgage?
Oh, well, because it's attractive to their budget. They're saying to themselves, "Oh, I'm paying $2,000 a month for my mortgage, and if I refi, I might pay $1,500 a month for my mortgage." And that makes a big difference. Now you can go out and buy that car that you wanted.
Yeah, myopic financial vision. That's for sure. So, is it a cost associated to this? In addition to what you explained?
One thing I would say about refinancing is what I would say about any purchase, really. You should always check out multiple places before you actually commit. I know personally for myself, I have refinanced my house in the past, and it was a horrible mistake because I could have done so much better. Okay, if I'd have just looked around. If you just look around to 4 or 5 different places, you might find a place that will actually give you a much better interest rate and reduce the fees because it's expensive. They're going to throw all those fees in it and say, well, it's no big deal. It'll just be a part of the loan. But it is a big deal. You're paying an extra several $1,000s more. So don't listen to that. Make sure that you pay as little as possible in fees and you get the lowest interest rate.
Okay. So thanks again for this insight and those tips, because I know it was a big rush for refinancing in 2020-21. Our last tip for today refers to cash investments. Last month, you mentioned that cash was almost never a good investment, and you referred to a say that goes like that: savers are losers. Can you shed a light on this for us?
Sure. Last month was a record month in inflation. Everybody's talking about inflation, but let's think about that. Last month, inflation was at 6%.
Wow.
6%. And if it continues like that, try to imagine that every single month your money is less and less valuable. So if in 10 years you have cash stored up in your basement or in your mattress, and it's just sitting there, and interest rates have been at 6%. If you had, let's say, $10,000 in your mattress, it might only be worth $5,000 of actually what you can buy in 10 years, okay, or even less. So it's really important that you invest your money, or at least most of it. You can't invest all of it because you need to be able to get to it quicker, but invest most of it into something that will at least keep up with inflation, if not do better than inflation.
Right. Good. Well, this has been 24 minutes of tips that, as you mentioned, that are life-saving tips. Right. So let me wrap it up a little bit. So we talked about having a budget. We talked about being able to control your debt. We talked about refinancing your mortgage. And the last question was, is savings a good investment? All right. So I am going to leave the audience with this brief summary. So first, budgeting. Budgeting lies at the foundation of every financial plan. Simple as that. It doesn't matter if you are living paycheck to paycheck or earning six figures a year. It doesn't matter. You need to know where your money is going if you want to have a handle on your finances. So unlike what you might believe, budgeting is not at all about restricting what you spend money on and cutting out all the fun in your life. That's not what it's all about. It's really about understanding how much money you have, where it goes, and then planning how to allocate those funds best, right? Regarding debt, in some way, I would say that debt consolidation rolls multiple debts, right? Typically, high interest debts, such as credit card bills, into one single payment. And that debt consolidation might be a good idea for you only if you can get a lower interest rate. And in so doing, that will help you reduce your total debt and reorganize it so you can pay it off faster, right? If you are dealing with a manageable amount of debt and just want to reorganize multiple bills with different interest rate, payments and due date, debt consolidation is a sound approach you can tackle on your own, right? And regarding debt, when compounding, clearly when you have debt, compounding, it's not your friend. Definitely not. As it relates to refinancing, only when the time is right. Okay? Refinancing is a great way to use your home as a financial tool. Again, I repeat, only when the time is right. Okay? Because you can adjust your loan term, you could get a better interest rate and change your loan type to save money in the long term. Only when the time is right. And as far as, or you could get some cash out as well, right? To refinancing your home equity and use the money as you need it. And last but not least, savers are losers. Okay? So I hope that you enjoyed today's show and found these few tips to be helpful. And as you know, I like to end the show with a quote. And today's quote is from Mark Cuban. And it said, pay off your debt first. Freedom from debt is worth more than any amount you can earn. Okay, so Mark Cuban is an American billionaire entrepreneur. He's a television personality. He's a media proprietor, and he's also the owner of the NBA's Dallas Maverick. Before I forget, Eric, tell the audience how they can contact you. And I'm going to bring up a banner there so they could see as well, right? So your information, right? So what's the best way to contact you?
Well, you can contact me on my website at dudleyfinancialgroup.com. You can schedule an appointment there at the top left-hand side, or you could just hit the contact button and fill in the information, and I'll get an email. Or you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can just message me there. I look at LinkedIn pretty much every day of the week, so you'll definitely be able to get me.
Great. So thank you, Eric, for your awesome contribution to the show today. And we will meet again next month on December the 16th with another great topic, or who knows, topics. Okay? So thanks again, and happy Thanksgiving when it gets there. Don't spend too much, don't eat too much, and I will see you next month. Okay?
Thank you.
For more information about how to achieve financial wellness from the inside out and live a purposeful life with the money you have, join me next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Atlantic Time for my Bermudian pips, 10 a.m. Friday, Brisbane, Australia time. And thank you for being here today on the Merging Life and Money Show. I am your host, Marie-Jo César. I will be back again next week. Yes, on Thanksgiving Day. Any day is a good day to give value. Until then, continue merging life and money. Bye for now.